Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Deep Linkers. I'm Eric Rodriguez, as joined always by my co-host over here, Drew Grant, somewhere there.
Yep, right here.
We're very excited about today's guest. You know her from her extensive library of video essays on film, TV, culture, and more. You can now see her on her own show on Nebula, Amy's Dead-End Dreamhouse. It's Maggie Mae Fish. Maggie, thank you so much for being here.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. Hello.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, obviously you're another one of the seminal voices in like the video essay space that we've been eager to have on for a long time now. We love watching your video essays to fall asleep to have in the background, to watch directly. It's just something that sort of fits any sort of vibe that we want day to day.
So comforting to know. I find my own voice grating, so I'm so relieved that at least some people use it for a relaxation method.
Yeah, and obviously your work specifically on David Lynch and Twin Peaks has also had a very cozy home here in our life, as Drew being the David Lynch Twin Peaks expert in our own home. So turn into just a David Lynch discussion for 2 hours. So we'll try to sort of guide our way through that.
Oh yeah. Okay. I was gonna say the first time I've ever heard of Maggie Mae Fish was a couple years ago. I was working at Collider, and I think Tom Ryman was one of my coworkers. So I think so he's awesome, and I think he was trying to get you to do one of the things that we were like cooking out for. We're sending stuff out for getting freelancers, and I was like, oh yeah, what's she like? And he was like, well, she's like the expert on Twin Peaks. And my face fell. I was like, oh really? Like she's the expert on Twin Peaks? Because I taught a class on Oberlin. Like, I'm not the expert on Twin Peaks. And yeah, that's my introduction to you. But then I went home and watched the video, and I was like, oh, she is the expert on Twin Peaks. I gotta give that to you. You are the expert on Twin Peaks.
I think everyone is kind of their own expert on Twin Peaks, which is what I think is so fucking cool about Twin Peaks. And also, thank you, Tom, talking me up with that. Oh.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride for me. Learning more about you and Twin Peaks and David Lynch over the last few years. I had not seen any David Lynch films or Twin Peaks prior to meeting Drew about five years ago. So that's something that's been opened up to me, and then through that, now your work and so on. So it's been fun. It's been a fun journey for me specifically. I just want to say. But we want to talk to you about like everything that's gone into the channel. Sort of where you're at now with Nebula and Amy's Dead-End Dreamhouse. It's a lot. But I guess to begin, my curiosity with these things always starts usually with the beginning. I wanted just ask, what was your sort of background with film and TV and media growing up, before you even got into like the academics of it all?
Yeah, I think I loved film for the very beginning, very early on. My family kind of had this dynamic where we would put on like a movie. My father loves cinema. We'd put on a movie. About halfway through, my dad would start like crying, like in the middle of the film for any emotional movement. My dad would just be so very close to tears. And so I would too. I was also like very affected by film. I remember watching like Bicentennial Man, which is actually hilarious. But like at the time, like my dad is just crying, about this robot. I'm crying. And inevitably, my mom would start cracking jokes, like making fun of us. Why are you two crying about this bad robot? So yeah, like my family used it as a very a central like bonding material. And we would do that a lot. My parents were, there was this one weekend they were like, okay, we're gonna show you the original Frankenstein, and it's a little square. We were like very young, but they did that with a lot of really cool pieces of cinema. And then to contrast that, my grandma, she would babysit us a lot, and she would always have on Three Stooges, the Monkeys, like very old building blocks of television. It was always on. I loved all of it. My family watched all of the Brady Bunch, Gilligan's Island, like all, very, early TV was kind of our go-to, again, kind of fun to make fun of it, to laugh at it and laugh with it. So yeah, through that context, I feel like I grew up with a somewhat like analytical view of it because we were again laughing at it while laughing with it. Like the appreciation along with the inherent funny like criticisms of it, or just like a critical thought of it.
Yeah, I mean, Bicentennial Man. That's one I remember pretty vividly as a kid watching and being like, "Oh, this isn't as funny as Robin Williams' usual."
It was after AI though, so he already done like a movie about being a robot. He was like the little thing. So in our household, I'm not to bring it all the way back to Lynch already, but in our household, we grew up, and I remember the parties my mom used to have for Twin Peaks. They used to have this like donut and coffee party when the show was coming out, but I was way too young to see it. I mean, did you guys watch that in your household as a commentary on television at the time, or?
Actually not. So this is why I think you are also a David Lynch expert, Twin Peaks expert. I was a very late comer to Twin Peaks. Yeah, it was after I had gone to film and theater school, so it was like after I, had that foundation. So yeah, it was, I think like, oh my God, like what year was it? Maybe like 2017, 2018 was probably was the first time that I watched Twin Peaks and then watch all of David Lynch. I think in contrast to, a lot of other people who love David Lynch, I'm a latecomer. I think that's often why I kind of, when I talk about David Lynch, couch it in a, like, he's intimidating because that's how I felt for so long. Or, like until someone, watches it with you or introduces you to it. It can feel like, intimidating to take on your own, or be like, now's the perfect time for me to watch Twin Peaks, like
exactly. What I really loved about your video on it specifically is that it's not just it's not just going through Twin Peaks in an accessible way. It's also kind of ribbing the people who come up with these videos. It's like everything about Twin Peaks explained, and it's a 4-hour video of just like somebody coming up with their own, like very, very subjective interpretations about what these dream sequences are. And so I thought that was like, this is like you've got the summa cum laude video of like what you're going to be looking at right here. Because all the other videos, we actually found one guy, I think he's kind of more famous now, but when we found him, he only had like 300 followers, and his whole show, what was the name of it, Eric? Do you remember this? It was like his whole show was trying to guess who the bad guy is, and
or it's like trying to guess.
Oh yes, or he's like I'm watching TV. Okay. I haven't seen it, but it's on my feed. Okay.
He guessed it was Deputy Andy up until the second to last episode reveal of who it actually is. So he got one of his little sweatshirts of like, it was great. That was amazing. But watching other people like come to Twin Peaks is one of the best feelings you can get, especially if they're great. And then sometimes also one of the most infuriating feelings you can have if, if they come in on this vibe where you're like, I'm not feeling this. I'm not feeling any of this,
Absolutely. Oh my God, that's so interesting. Okay, Nancy.
But the channel again, as looking back in my time experiencing it, it's you started about 4 years ago, and since then you sort of ramped up different subgenres of types of video essays that you've done over the years. I think your first one was the Tim Burton retrospective about things like. Did you have any sort of specific strategy or like format that you wanted to hit when you began those, or was it something you just sort of like that came out of you and sort of like a fit of passion?
No to the format. I do tell people, I was on another podcast and they were like, you like the way you decided what video essays, it's totally consistent. I was like, actually, I think if you actually look at it, it's not as consistent or neatly wrapped up. I appreciate the unearned praise. But yeah, so the first couple video essays were actually ideas that I had when I was working at Cracked. Wonderful, shout out to Tom, the whole wonderful, lovely people. And yeah, so when video team was fired, I had a couple scripts that I had already written. at the time I was juggling like 4 part-time jobs. You know,
Yeah.
yeah. You know, if you add it all up, it makes a regular income. But it was, you know, stressful. And my partner at the time, they direct, so you know, they had a camera, and they were like, you already wrote it. Like, I have a camera. Let's like just film it. Let's film it. Let's just put it up. Whatever. And so we did. And very quickly, it helped me, you know, eliminate one of my part-time jobs, and then
really, wow.
Yeah, worked up to it being full time. So yeah, most of the essays are things that I am inspired in the moment. Some of them you'll see. There was a time where it was like pretty stressful. I think it was when I was still using supplemental income with my other jobs. So we tried to do a little bit more of like a shorter form, refillable ideas. Which is still fun. We still have them in case that happens again. But yeah, the past 2 years have been, just going with what we think will be fun. And in the past year has been more things that are online. I know a lot of my essays are about film. That's still you know, my main passion and focus. But now I actually do I'm a screenwriter. I write films. So it's kind of giving me a little leeway to be like, all right, there are some things going on online that really intrigue me. And I'm getting my, you know, fill of watching film, analyzing film in my actual day job now. So yeah, it's been kind of fun to have that little freedom to be like, all right, you know, let's take this analytical eye, let's take this you know, film analysis and apply it to online media, modern media. What thinking? Yeah,
that's great. I mean, that's one of the things Eric says. We just really have no ability to have media literacy. That's the thing that most people are missing today from the internet. Right, baby? You say that. You say that.
Yeah, I say that. It's just it's a difficult thing to parse out because the internet is changing so rapidly every year, and so it's hard to, like, once you nail down like a sort of like, you know, cultural analysis, like it's changed, like it's evolved already. So it's things like you kind of like had to constantly be evolving with, even as you're developing scripts and ideas around it. You know, you're saying that, you know, getting into the essays for the channel, you would combine, you know, certain like formats of like stuff that you found interesting. Some stuff was like seemed pretty niche. Like I remember I watched recently a video you did on The Stupids. That was a film that I remember very vividly when I was a kid, and my mom wouldn't let us watch it because she didn't like the name. But I eventually did. So yeah, just I guess when you were in the sort of swing of things, how did you balance the niche, you know, sort of subjects that you really wanted to cover because it was like really important to you, along with like the sort of, you know, larger things like the Barbie video that you did, as obviously you really culturally, you know, sort of you know, topical when it came out?
That is a wonderful question, and I love answering it because I didn't come up with it at all. I took Soderbergh's philosophy of one for you, one for me.
Right.
I think that is such great advice for all creatives in this, you know, capitalist environment, like capitalism. So helpful. He's one of my favorite directors. I think even in his films, he is so like wonderfully grounded in this like, and I don't, you know, it can be like in a fucked up grounded way, in a surrealist grounded way. But I think emotionally they're always very grounded in something like relatable. So I think that's why his advice is so relatable. It's do one that you suspect other people want of you, that you will have fun doing, that, you know, isn't like won't ruin your psyche, hopefully, that you will enjoy doing, so that you can do one that, you don't care if it gets the numbers or whatever, but that you're obsessed with. So yeah, we kind of just toggle back and forth. It's not, you know, and sometimes the thing that we think is niche And turns out to not be, and vice versa. The thing that we think, this is, is something interesting that people want to hear, not always. So using that, it's been, helps you guide, having your cake and eating it too, and literally being able to eat.
Right.
It's the year, right? If we're doing the year where it's like one black bag for them, one the presents for us. Is that how we're doing it this year?
Yes.
Yeah,
precisely.
that's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite video essays from yours that we were watching the other day, and I'd seen it before, but I want to introduce it to the rest of the class, was the Schneidecker paradox, which was like, oh man, what a perfect combination of my interests. And I think maybe that's at least a little bit what you're talking about with the online criticism space, because it is about Dan Schneider, but then also about Tim Heidecker's portrayal of a Dan Schneider.
Rob Schneider.
Rob Schneider. Oh my God. Other Schneider also bad though. It's not a great last name these days.
Yeah.
Sorry if that's your last name, but not the guy from Quiet on Set. This guy, Rob Schneider. But it was about like the Tim Heidecker's portrayal of a character that was like Rob Schneider, and
bullshit. Bullshit.
And as we're huge fans of On Cinema at this household, we're huge On Cinema fans at this household. Getting to watch that whole his whole comedy series was hilarious, but then also hitting that feeling, and I think you get to it really well, which is like it doesn't absolve him of the kind of humor this is, and like it's still using this kind of humor as like a trope. But can you talk a little bit about like what your idea was for that video?
Yeah, it truly the anecdote that I give where we just started watching the Rob Schneider's show. And it was just a bizarro world. The whole format, the whole idea of it, how it got made, all of it was just so fascinating. It was also just so funny to see the other actors be so much better than him in his own show. So many elements of it just brought me such delight. That I could tell it was not delighting him, so which was very funny. And yeah, my partner's a huge Tim Heidecker fan. I'm a latecomer. I think I give the anecdote that I was like, what my ex-boyfriend would love watching.
Exactly.
But yeah, I also really appreciate his work because he's fucking hilarious. Such a wide breadth of his work. I am actually a huge fan of his dramatic work, which I think he's an incredible actor. So yeah, we started to know, we were watching a lot of their work in tandem, and we started to notice, there's this thing here, this like male ego, this even like the pressure of being a stand-up comedian, making other people laugh, and how entwined that is to their identity, their ego. It was such like a fascinating little like web to see both of these creators tackle. One of them, I think, honestly, and one of them, I think, in total fear and still, not being able to look at themselves in the mirror. Whereas Tim, I think, is just very insightful and is able to take that kind of character and say something with it and about those types of people. So really great. The Schneidecker paradox is
Schneidecker paradox. There we go.
Yeah. It's again something that's like so very specifically online coded, whereas like if you understand the comparisons, like it clicks, it makes sense. And getting into it, like it feels so natural for us to understand it. It feels so natural the way you sort of go into it, which is like how I feel about a lot of your videos. Obviously there's a lot of work that goes into producing them, writing them, putting them together, but your sort of style has a very sort of natural vibe to it. Like it doesn't feel like you're giving like a homework. It feels like you're just kind of speaking off the cuff in a way, or it's kind of coming straight from your heart, your head. What has been the sort of process you've gone through to sort of put these together? Does it take extensive research to put them, or does it feel like something that you kind of are able to put together from your sort of general knowledge of film?
That's a great question. Also, I'm so glad it comes off naturally. That's something I worry about. Yeah, I would say it's about 50-50. Like 50% is like the initial thoughts and feelings, the initial gut. Oh, there's like something interesting here. And we kind of have like a behind the scenes philosophy of that. People are so much better at analyzing a story, at watching films than they give themselves credit for. Mostly like, yeah, they may not have like the language, or they may not have the be able to, they think they wouldn't be able to accurately speak to the feeling of like, oh, like this movie, is making me feel a certain way, or oh, like why why did the behind the scenes, like why did that affect the film? I think people initially are really good at sensing those things, about feeling those things, and yeah, even if they may not have the mise en scene, or like whatever the terminology of it, and so yeah, we try to honor that, by making it very approachable, like by honoring that people are good at story, or people as a whole, telling stories since since we started walking upright. Language, it is so integral to us as human beings, that yeah, I think people are really geared towards knowing and understanding. So yeah, a lot of the research is either like factual based, where we step in like, okay, like literally what happened, or like literally how did this film get made, what were the actual goings on set, and then also a lot of it is kind of just rounding out, or giving the high, whatever the philosophical names and ideas that kind of are underpinning the initial thoughts or feelings. So yeah, it's a little 50-50, and it changes a little bit. I think sometimes we start from like a philosophical or analytical basis, and then that illuminates why we feel the way we feel when watching, and sometimes it's the opposite, like, oh, I feel a certain way, I gotta know why. And then so it's a little bit of both. We have many books in our apartment for reference and study, and then I kept all my readers from college. So every once in a while, like I know that I read this in TV reflexivity class or whatever. So yeah, we try to keep our resources close at hand, to be able to kind of feel give people a why to their feelings.
Well, that's I wanted to ask you a little bit, to pivot for a second into the new show, Amy's Dead-End Dreamhouse, which is more, it's got more of a fictional bent. It's got like a Pee Wee Herman kind of vibe, very, like we were saying a little bit earlier, Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, which is my favorite show of all time. So besides Twin Peaks, but tell me a little bit about how that project came to be with Nebula.
Yeah, so about a year ago, we heard that Nebula was doing their first foray into narrative content. And they've done short films before, Jesse Gender's Amazing Identities, Dracula's Ex-Girlfriend. So they've done shorts before. And so this was their first, okay, let's do something, that's like a couple episodes. Let's, take on an idea. And my partner tells it in this way that I think is really funny. They're like, Maggie, you've just been walking around for like 3 years now being like kid show for adults. No context, like no other like ideas to that. Just that initial idea. And going back to like the philosophical backing for it. When I was in film school, I took a class that I like kids. I babysat my whole life, like They're like wonderful little beings. And so I took a history of children's education class, and it blew my mind. It was so good. Just like the care, dedication, the research that goes into some shows. And I say that very specifically because many don't. But we had the head of the Sesame Workshop come and give a talk. Yeah. And just hearing the compassion, but also just like the literal research that they did to find out how kids learn. It was like, it's still some of the most groundbreaking work that we have that we know it's some of the ground that we have been able to peel back, understanding the way that kids retain knowledge, but also feeling how they create a sense of their own human and how media can shape that. But I'm an adult and by the time you're 16, no one cares, you're on your own, especially emotionally. So I think that became the impetus of this idea of that care and dedication. And many of us as adults, go into therapy, and it's always like, the inner child, the family systems. We are so tethered to who we became when we were kids. And still we are so tethered to because of that, the media we consumed and how that informed and created us. And not only TV, the storybooks we read, even like learning with a story context, which is how one of the best ways for kids to learn, which again we only know that from the Sesame Workshop, which is wild. But yeah, we so much of that is still tied to these little tiny beings that we were. And so yeah, I wanted to create a show that honored that pulled on those nostalgia strings, plopped you into an episode of the big comfy couch, but then brought up topics that we deal with as adults, and that there are no easy answers to. And there's also this, because we are so formed by what we kids are sponges, what we absorb, and rightfully so, many of these shows are sharing is good, helping others is good, these like lessons that we should be teaching kids that are correct. We were formed to believe all these things, and we know them to be true. And now as adults, we can become activists. We can, support causes that are trying to get back to the thing we know to be true, that sharing is good, that, that caring helps everyone. Even if you want to be selfish, it's good to have other people around you in your community be happy and healthy and cared for. So yeah, a lot of I think the darkness and the dark humor of the show is that dichotomy of what we were taught versus how the world is. And yeah, we as an individual, there's very little power as it makes you feel very small again, thinking about just the overwhelming systems against that at play. But then also, going back to, but you are like wonderful and special and capable, and you can help, and you can help together. It takes communities to do this. You literally can't do it alone, but that's good because no one should have to do it alone. So kind of coming all the way around to being sincere and hopefully emotionally comforting someone, even if you can't solve the problem, even if you can't immediately get a job or get friends back. At least you're not alone, and also we can do it together.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Again, I haven't had a chance to see the first episode, which, as at the time of recording, has just came out. Drew got to watch it. She took the Nebula account with her when she when she left
That's true. I
her
did take
mom.
the Nebula account. Sorry about that.
I haven't had a chance to check it out. But that sounds really great, just from the conceptual level of, like, it when you get into some of these shows, obviously, like we said, Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared is clearly some sort of inspiration for it. You can get into these things. It's like, oh, this is really interesting and weird and creepy and like sort of dark. But it sounds like the sort of core of it for your project is about good, and like sort of like the sort of more optimistic view of like trying to like relay a theme or a message to the people who are watching. As far as the aesthetic goes, it clearly resembles, like we said, Pee-wee's Playhouse, like multicam sitcom sort of vibe. What were some of the inspirations you took aesthetically to put that together?
Absolutely. And I do want to shout out our wonderful production designer, Daniel Fox. Incredible.
Yeah, that's incredible. It really is. Whoever's doing that production design, what's his name?
Yeah.
Daniel?
Daniel Fox, yeah.
Yeah, Daniel Fox. Give him a shout out. It looks great.
Yeah.
He's incredible. And we met him working on a kid show.
Really?
Yes, we were working for DreamWorks, their YouTube channel for kids. And they would give him the smallest budget, like literally imaginable, and he would create just such beautiful, vibrant, rich worlds, literally shoestring budget. And so we were very confident. It's like, okay, with a regular, normal budget, it will just fly into the sun. And he did. So a lot of the inspirations were things from my childhood, which Big Comfy Couch. Yeah, that was a big one. Kablam was
Kablam.
Yeah. I loved that show as a kid, especially like the multimedia aspect of that. That's something we leaned into, which is also strategic because we have we have animation, we have stop motion, we have all these things, and also we could split things up. So it's like, okay, the animators can take care of this puppet. This puppet will be literal puppeteered by a puppeteer on set. So it's like delineation. The constraints helped us be very creative on how to accomplish this, which I think is true for all kid shows. People, a lot of them look down on kid shows. Don't want give it a budget, don't or it's like, whatever, who cares. So a lot of them are dealing with limited budgets, limited space, limited time. A lot of their creativity is born from that. So we were like, okay, us too. we'll be creative because of that. And my partner and director Will, we have a little bit of an age gap, so their childhood is 80s, whereas mine's 90s. So 80s inspirations in there. Also some sketch comedy, Mr. Show, early Smosh, Why Does Kids some fundamental building blocks. Both of our backgrounds in sketch comedy. So we were bringing that to it too. And because we kept, especially with the apartment aesthetic, we kept it very in the world of a fictional kids show, very bright, beautiful colors, which I think I love anyways. So this was a great excuse to make it brighter. But because we did that, especially visually and thematically, we were able to take very hard right and left turns, especially bringing in the adult elements of it. So we have a scene that breaks the reality and turns into we call it the Sean Baker scene, where very like grounded and like so realistic. We also shot the space. We made the apartment and then we wrapped it and then used the white cyc behind it again to film commercials, and we use like a black box theater aesthetic.
Oh wow.
To both like make it visually interesting and dynamic, but also to bring in the adult of kids show for adults. So well, yeah, in the apartment we, you know, stick to the fun, multicam aesthetic, you know, and breaking it intentionally when we want to, or feel like it underscores the theme, then yeah, we're able to do some surprising fun curveballs. Our cinematographer is phenomenal. Valentina V, just incredible. And we really gave her freedom to be like, okay, you know, this scene is shot like the breakup scene in The Social Network, you know. Yeah, pulling from which you know, kids shows do this too. You emulate adult films, you know, there's always something for adults, but we were really able to take that to the extreme because we are adults and we all know these visual references that we're pulling. So yeah, it's very, very fun. Yeah.
I mean, it's awesome. I think one of the things that it really interests me about watching just the first episode and seeing how it goes is, yeah, I mean, do you think of this show as like it is a purely online show? If somebody came up from DreamWorks or from Nickelodeon or wherever and said, okay, we want to get this show, get it on the air, do you think that'd be something that's as interesting, not as interesting? Is it something about the climate today that it wants to be online, or where are your mind at for that?
I mean, I would say absolutely. One of my really good friends, she came to the premiere and she works in network television, and she was like, "This is network worthy, stream worthy." It's a huge high compliment. I think as long as they honor the, you know, creativity behind everyone who helped bring this together, from the production designers to the animators, to the editors, to the writers, as long as they honor that, then absolutely. Simply because I think the themes are poignant. I think they are at least, you know, to us, resonant. I think people are dealing with these things as adults. Not everyone has access to therapy, not that this could be your therapist, but like there is a reason that people are rightfully so very unhappy in these times. People feel very trapped and limited, and many of us, you know, that recalls how we felt as kids. When you're a kid, the world is so big and you are so small. And, you know, we're told all these narratives. I was like, yeah, but like, go out there and crush it anyway. You know, like, all you need is a fucking sword. And then like, you'll be fine. And like, here we are once again, feeling very small in a very big and scary world. So for that reason, and simply because I would want to, give it to as many people as I could, I would say yes. Yeah, people might want that. So
yeah, I mean, speaking personally, like one of my favorite experiences is learning about "Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared" through Drew, and like, you know, kind of like the sort of just whole world that builds. You know, like obviously there's a lot going on in there beyond just like the creepy puppets. And for, you know, the Dead-End Dreamhouse, do you have any you know, aspirations to continue on into like a larger ideas? Do you, again, I haven't seen the show yet, without spoiling it, maybe, I don't know if the house blows up at the end, I don't know. But do you have any, I guess, like, you know, ideas like of how you want to sort of evolve that, you know, in the future?
Absolutely. Yeah, so if anyone wants to buy us out, by all means, talk to my manager, talk to my lawyer. But truly, also, we did write it, you know, as a TV show, and that it can be refillable. We have 6 episodes. Each one covers a different topic. Job loss, losing a friend, mental health diagnoses, time, ADHD, drugs, you know, all of that. And so, we could fill, you know, innumerable episodes of the very real things that adults deal with. Both literal, we try to do a balance of very literal things like getting a diagnosis from a doctor, navigating the healthcare system, to esoteric, time, like time moving too fast or too slow, or not feeling like you're, taking advantage of the seize the day, yada yada yada. Pressure that we put on ourselves around that. So yeah, in that way, I think there are so many things that we could write an episode around, and would love to. And then also, if we got a season 2, if they gave us a little more budget, yeah, there are many fun things that we wanted to do this season that we couldn't. We shelved. Guests that we wanted. There were people who were so incredible that we wanted to create an entire character for them, but yeah, because of the time constraints, we just simply couldn't. So yeah, there's wonderful people that I think would be a wonderful voice to have in the future on the show. There's wonderful and terrible and scary things that I think the show could address and talk about. And yeah, with the parody formats, kind of sky's the limit.
If you look around today, like at the landscape that we have online, or even on TV, is there anybody that you're looking at and you're saying, okay, this person's doing it right, or this is like, something you take inspiration from, or is it, is anytime, I guess, in the past as well, but currently?
Oh, I think, I have many friends in the industry, and honestly, anyone who has made anything is someone like that. They're doing it right. But even the people that have been working on their projects forever, and it hasn't gotten to the level of being made, they're also doing it right.
Yeah.
Not to be cheesy, but anyone pursuing a creative endeavor and are putting their heart into it, that is simply all you can do. Everything else is down to chance, to timing. Like we said, when we pitched this, we had just heard that Nebula was going into narrative, and we'd been doing these video essays with Nebula for so long. So so much of it is out of your control, that the thing that is in your control is like keeping that spark alive. It's so hard to do. It's hard to read the news and then sit down and be like, all right, how do I make people laugh? Like, it is counterintuitive. It is hard. And that's not even counting, the things against you that you've no control over: who you are, where you are, your resources. Those are simply things that we put pressure on ourselves to feel like we're in control of. Or people tell you, again, they'll like pick up a sword and just like make it happen. Like that, that's not how anything happens. And yet we're told that. And when you care so much about your art, of course that seeps in. Like, of course it seeps in that, like, I haven't, done this or that, or, comparing yourselves to others. Yeah, as long as you are nurturing that creative part of yourself, I see that as just like a hands down undisputable win. And yeah, you can only keep going. Yeah,
I think that's great. Yeah, I think that's great advice to keep in mind for anyway, like you said, anyone pursuing a creative endeavor. It's hard to put yourself on a pedestal when you feel like you haven't accomplished, but you have to also remember that there's extraneous elements that are always going to be sort of pushed against you that you can't really anticipate.
Absolutely. And I think inherent to the art is, and you do it anyways, like it is all these things. It is hard. It is unrewarding. It is, you're juggling 3 part-time jobs while it is happening. But you do it anyway, and maybe not every day, and and maybe not to the best of your ability all of the time. But you do it because you are an artist, and that part of you needs to live and breathe. So yeah,
Yeah. I think that's a great way to wrap up for today. Maggie, thank you so much for coming on and sharing, all your thoughts with us today. I'm personally looking forward to the show again. Like, I got to catch up with Drew. She's gonna be able to see it. Where can we find that? Obviously, let's make sure people know where to find it. Also, just your work online in general.
Yeah. Amy's Dead-End Dreamhouse. The first episode dropped very recently. And it's releasing bi-weekly. So 6 episodes they'll be releasing. And then in between, we're actually releasing longer versions of the interviews that we did with our special guests, Amy's neighbors. So there's a lot to eat up. You can find that on nebula.tv/dreamhouse. And you can also find my video essays there. It's just my name, Maggie Mae Fish. And my video essays are also online on YouTube. Again, just my name, MAE, not like the month. But yeah, you can find it all there. Excited to have it. Leave me a comment. I agree. Tell me what you think.
That's great. Yeah. You can find me at Nerdchronic across social media. You can find Drew at VIDEODREW across social media. You can find us at the Reactorverse across social media as well. You'll find links to our Discord and Patreon down below. And we'll catch everyone on the next episode.